Hey guys, Rocambasco here, and today I'm gonna see if you can beat Halo CE with only the Needler. And let me tell you, the Needler isn't a very good weapon, like at all. And I know that statement may offend the 5 or so people who love the Needler in Halo CE, but I think I've died more times by my own hands than the actual enemies did in this challenge. I played through this challenge on normal difficulty, but the anger induced by this challenge was anything but normal. Now then, to start off, the chubster here had to help me go through a bunch of tedious maintenance tasks. But that's when I found the skull of a murder victim, and I knew right away that this skull belonged to that missing goose. All the signs were there. The dude was fat, so he probably got hungry and ate the goose, and then he stored its remains where no one would think to look for it. Because who would come in here and disturb Spartan 117 while he's taking a nap? I played it cool until the diagnostics were done, and then I told him that there was a secret McDonald's on the ship, and all he had to do was leave this room and take a right. He followed my directions, but when he realized it was actually the suicide room, it was too late. Captain Keyes gave me Best Detective Award, but he forgot to give me a pistol, the bastard. This mission was the only mission in the game that I had to play on heroic difficulty because I was able to make my way past everyone without breaking a sweat. But when I made it to this point, the only way forward was to melee a door. If you play on heroic or legendary, the door is open, but also these little doors that were previously locked are also open now. So I ran through the doors, made my way past more enemies, and made it to the last part of the mission. Because there isn't a Needler in this whole mission, I had to get creative. I tried to let my men kill all the enemies for me, but due to the grunts being half alien, half Caproni CA5s, they would throw plasma bombs non-stop, which resulted in my men getting blown to bits. On top of that, there was a purple elite, so things weren't looking favorable. But after a while, I decided to jump into space and wait for things to cool off. Eventually, the Covenant just gave up on living. We escape in the escape pod, the Pillar of Autumn goes down, we crash land on Halo, and Mission 2 starts. Now that we were down on solid ground, I could finally get my hands on the suicide gun. I patiently waited for my Marines to take out a Needler-wielding foe, and once it died, I said, "Accio Needler," and it came to me like it knew that I was its new master. If you didn't get the Harry Potter reference, then fuck you. Some aliens are born with dick lips, some are born with bird-like faces, and others are born bald. But the Needler doesn't discriminate. It's going to blast everyone's assholes open. Grunts and elites are pretty easy to kill with the Needler. The purple elites could make me want to rip my dick off sometimes because they're bullet sponges, but the real douchebagettes are those goddamn jackals. Their shields have anti-Needler properties built into them, so you could empty a whole clip into a jackal without so much as scratching them. I did figure out that the best way to deal with them was to get within cum shot distance of them, and when they rolled to safety, apparently, I would fill up their assholes with needles until they exploded. Usually they shit out eggs, but today they shit out blood. Overall, fuck their shield, fuck their overcharge, and fuck their very existence. This is also the only time in Halo that I was so conservative of my Needler ammo that I started using it as a pistol. Each time I would shoot 7 to 8 needles so I could pull off that super combine explosion and insta-kill whoever I was shooting at. I finished this part with plenty of ammo to spare. I ignored everyone who was underground, and then I got to the part where I had to save the Marines. I'm not sure what came over me. Usually I just kill the Marines and move on so I don't waste time, but every section I found myself in, I was actually helping them for once. I guess my underwear was made from the finest moral fiber, so I helped kill everyone in the 3 sections. Foehammer picks us up, she drops us off under a Covenant ship, and Mission 3 now begins. The main objective here is to save Captain Keyes. I start off with a sniper rifle and an assault rifle, but my Marines killed some grunts immediately, so I acquired the Needler. The big issue here is the gravity lift, but even that's not too crazy. There was a decent amount of Needlers that dropped from the dead enemies, so ammo was looking good, but after we killed every wave of enemies, There was no denying the size of those big, fat asses. The hunters were coming out to play. Hunters may be big, but they're also giant. They're the most annoying things to kill in this challenge since it takes more than half of my ammo supply to kill just one of them. As long as one hunter was having a good time just killing my teammates, I could easily dodge and shoot the other one. And after the whole fight ended, I decided to avoid hunters from now on. If I wasn't careful, they would suck me up their assholes, and I'd never be seen again. It's a coin toss whether or not the needler is good at medium or close range. The needler can be effective, but half the time you'll get caught in the range of the explosion and lose all of your health. Or, God forbid, the little demons known as grenades are sneaking around on the ground, because if that's the case, you're going out 4th of July style. The needler needles don't even track the invisible elites, so they're also annoying to deal with. The whole ship section is a rinse and repeat of killing Covenant in corridors and rooms, so I save Captain Keyes, we fight our way to the hangar, and escape on a ship. Mission 4 is usually one of the fastest missions to beat in the game. This time around it took me an hour, but that's only because I was being a lazy little bitch. As usual, I start with an MA5B and a pistol, but once my men stormed the beach D-Day style, I got my filthy, cum-stained hands on a beautiful, clean needler. I used the Warthog and my Marines to get through this whole part so I could save my needler ammo. I ignored the hunters and then pressed the button so I could invade the facility's innards like an STD. My first attempt at this level, I immediately jumped down and pressed the button to activate the Cartographer. I must have decapitated baby kittens for a living in my previous life to deserve the kind of unpleasant butt-fucking that I was experiencing. The hunters would not let me pass. It was like that episode of SpongeBob where those buff dudes are taking turns smacking SpongeBob around like a ping pong ball. After I was forced to restart the level due to dying 10 billion times, I decided to not take the shortcut, but instead, I killed everyone on the way down this time. I actually had enough ammo to make it back to the Pelican this time, and there weren't nearly as many enemies. Even the Sword Elite was a chum. I ran to the Pelican, hopped on it, and descended underground. I tried to complete Mission 5 the legit way, but one death was too many deaths for me, so I said fuck it and decided to use the cliff fall speedrun strat. To all you noobs out there, you basically have to safely make your way down to the bottom using specific timing and placement, but since I used to speedrun Halo a lot, I nailed it on my 5th attempt. Doing this also despawns all of the enemies in the level, so I made it to the bottom, made my way through the level, and beat it in no time. At the time of making this video, I still don't know whether or not I hate the Flood or the Covenant more in this challenge. It's like having to choose between anime or video games. We arrive here to rescue Captain Keyes once again. I turn my back for 5 minutes and he gets captured, little bitch. I started off with a pistol, an MA5B, and Morningwood. But once I descended into the facility and ran past all the Covenant, I found the Needler jackpot. Needlers and dildos for as far as the eye could see. Share in my wealth, peasant. After the Flood revealed their existence, I wanted to save my needler ammo, so I let every one of them nibble on my hairy man nipples for a few minutes until the combat forms broke down the door. The Flood love to hang out in swarms, so the needler is really effective at killing multiple forms with only one super combine explosion. The problem is that since they love to slap me around like a disobedient woman, I would more than often hurt or kill myself with my own needler explosions. For the first time in my life, I got through 343 Guilty Spark without getting lost once. I rendezvoused with my men, I danced to Marty O'Donnell's epic soundtrack, I prevented them from suffering, and in no time after killing Flood for a few minutes, the mission was over. Do I even really need to explain the library? In this mission, I'm just trying to get the index to activate the ring. The first half of this level was fucking torture. More specifically, the first floor. I only have about 5 strands of facial hair, which is nothing compared to my butthole. But the stress from this level was already making those 5 hairs on my upper lip turn white. Or maybe that was just the cocaine. I couldn't get a needler until I reached the second floor, so my whole first floor journey consisted of finding ways to avoid getting killed by the flood. I used the Fatty Boom Batty forms to thin out the herd, and then I had to run until Guilty Spark opened the door. After that mess, I had to do the same thing in the hallways until I reached the elevator. The second, third, and fourth floors are a breeze since there's so many different ways to avoid flood, either using despawns or just hiding from them. I got the sentinels to kill a needler wielding flood form so I could get my hands on a needler, which made running and gunning a lot easier. Unless of course they suicided on me. The next hardest part was just finishing the mission. I had to draw out the flood who were hanging out at the door so I could kill them, but once I killed them all, I booked it to the elevator, I grabbed the index, teleported, and beat the mission. In my 8th expedition of self-induced torture, I started out with a shotgun and a plasma pistol. The robots burned through my health, so I ran to open the door immediately so everyone would kill each other. Luckily, every grunt was wielding a needler, so I was able to get my hands on a needler. Oh, and health? Yeah, having health in this mission is a myth. I had so much fun constantly dying, and any time I got health, it would immediately be taken away. I disabled the first generator, avoided some robots, and made my way to the next generator. This mission has some of the hardest parts in the game, but thankfully there's shortcuts and the 3 factions are all focused on each other, so it made it a little easier to get by everyone. Sometimes I had to fight it out even though I didn't have enough ammo to kill everyone, so the best I could do was thin out the enemies because if not, I would just die over and over again. I was just glad to make some progress even if I didn't have a lot of health or ammo left. When I got outside, I zoomed past everyone, grabbed a Banshee, deactivated the next generator. Once again, I just barely got past all the cunts who wanted to watch me fail. I flew underground, run and gunned past everyone, made my way to more Banshees, disabled the 4th generator, and beat the mission. In Mission 9, we have to save Captain Keyes by killing him. This level is short, but it took me longer to beat than usual because when I went to punch Captain Keyes in the face at the end of the level, I would die in the cutscene and it was stuck like this on an infinite loop of torture. I was able to get a needler immediately after the flood had killed the Covenant troops, so not a bad start. But once I dropped down into the coolant, it was fucking chaos. Every crazy, chaotic thing that you could ever think of was happening in this level. Flood and Covenant were having an all-out war, coolant was fucking up the environment so Greta came, cats were befriending dogs, etc. But this first half of the mission is quick to get through if you have skill, a needler, and vigilance. This is the level with the largest supply of needlers, so ammo wasn't an issue. Anytime I super combined an enemy, I made sure to move as far away as humanly possible so I wouldn't perish. It was super difficult getting to Keyes, but eventually after killing endless amounts of flood in the hallways, I came face to face with the captain. I stole his Club Penguin password, waited for the exit to clear out, jumped down to the hangar bay, stole a Banshee, and got out of there. The objective of Mission 10 is to destroy the Halo Ring to get 100 billion Killionaire metal. Surprise surprise, I don't have a needler, so I had to engage the Sentinels and Flood in combat, and then I snagged one all for me, myself, and me. After I killed everything in the corridor, I didn't have a lot of ammunition left, so I had to stalk those fat fucking alien bastards, and luckily one of them had died and dropped a needler, so I was all set. The grunts in the bridge also had needlers, which made me very happy indeed. Getting past the flood in the next room was a big pain in the dick. I could have used my needler, but I was hoarding my needles for an emergency, so I resorted to baiting the flood into coming into the bridge, and then the sentinels would cook them as they looked at me with those sad eyes. Getting past everyone else was quite easy, honestly, but the most time-consuming, hardest part was the engine room. I'm just going to come right out of the closet and say it. This is the first and final fail of the challenge. I needed to use my mobile boom booms to kill the ship's asshole. Unfortunately, the ship has not one, but 4 assholes, and I couldn't for the life of me get the grenades to go into the holes. After 30 minutes of this, I decided to just shove my head right in there and toss my grenade deep inside. The ship blew up, I killed the fuckers on the elevator, I flawlessly got past the Warthog run by being a careful little bitch and being aware of my surroundings, I bailed out early to avoid killing infection fucks, and then made it to the longsword and beat the game. So was I able to beat Halo CE with only the Needler? You pretty much can beat the whole game with it, besides destroying those dumbass engines. I wouldn't recommend anyone to try this challenge, because it's not fucking fun. Well, consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing, and I'll see all you sexy fucks in the next one.